everybody. Welcome to Garden Time with Belle and Happy New Year to all of you. It is the very first day of 2025, January the 1st, and I am out here in my greenhouse because no time like the present to begin planting seeds for this next gardening season. For those of you that are new to my channel, I am a Missouri master gardener. I am just a regular home gardener, and I happen to garden in a zone 6 in the middle of Missouri. And if you're like me, you have probably spent the last couple of months not doing a lot of gardening, but hopefully doing a lot of dreaming and planning for what you want to accomplish in 2025. And that's something that I've certainly been doing. I've gotten my seed orders in. I've pre-ordered annual plans from Proven Winners Direct. I've done a lot of planning and sketching out gardens and things I want to, change and tweak for this coming year. So I cannot wait to get started. So today is all about me showing you this simple way that I love to sow seeds for beautiful flowers, herbs, and vegetables. Well, I had to turn the camera around because the sun is starting to come out, and facing the other way, ooh, it was right in my eyes. And I am not going to complain about the sun because where I live, I think it's been 2 weeks since we've had sun. It has been gray, gloomy, frosty, foggy, dreary, and I am here for the sun. So come on out, sun. I don't care if I have to squint. So I flipped the camera around so I wouldn't be squinting too much for you all. So you can see some plants behind me, and you can maybe guess what seeds I'm going to be sowing today. One of my all-time favorite annuals to grow are zonal geraniums. They are super easy to start from seed. I have them in all varieties. The other great thing about zonal geraniums is that in my beautiful heated greenhouse, I have them blooming all year long. And there's nothing better than me getting to come out here with a cup of hot coffee or tea and sit here and do my garden planning and be surrounded by all this beauty. But today I'm going to start new seed for geraniums, and I'm going to try a variety I've never grown before. And I am using Laura from Garden Answer as my inspiration. Those of you that follow her channel, Garden Answer, have seen her grow Maverick Bullseye Coral, beautiful geraniums for her garden. In fact, she featured it this year, and she planted them in the landscape in a round circular bed. And I think she planted below them some purpley blue, I think, petunias, and then these gorgeous coral geraniums popped up above the sea of purple and blue, and it was gorgeous. So I'm going to put on the screen a picture of this gorgeous coral salmon that I'm going to start from seed today, so you can see how beautiful it is. So like many of you, you've been hoping and planning and thinking about 2025 just like me, and I actually have a long list of all the annuals that I'm going to grow either from seed, or actually I like to pre-order some of my annuals from Proven Winners Direct because my nurseries around here don't always get the varieties I want, and I actually plan out where all the annuals are going to go, from my hanging baskets to my pots on the porches that I have, to where I'm going to put them in the landscape. I have that all planned for 2025, and I know exactly what colors and varieties are going where. So let me tell you about these geraniums I'm growing today and how I'm planning to use them. So first of all, I am planning to grow those up, and some of them I'm going to place in my big aqua pots. And you've seen those aqua pots that I absolutely love. They're those huge self-watering containers. And I'll put a picture up on the screen of the aqua pots that are sitting here in front of the entrance to my greenhouse. And what I had in them in 2024, I did a whole variety of purples and whites. That was sort of the color scheme. So I had Gara in the center, and then I surrounded them with the Proven Winners Mini Vista petunias in purple, purple and white, and white. This year, I'm going to put all the way around the pot my coral geraniums that I'm starting today. And in the center, I'm going to plant one of the Proven Winners, Unplugged Blue Salvia. And I'll put a picture of that blue salvia on the screen. And I just feel like that beautiful blue salvia that'll be the thriller in the center, surrounded by this soft pinky coral geraniums. I think that's going to be a gorgeous combination. So that's where I'm planning to put some of these geraniums in pots. And I have another big pot on my back terrace where I'm going to repeat the same combination, but also I'm going to put some in the landscape. And I love to give flowers and vegetable plants that I start from seed as gifts. Last year in May, I had a garden party where I invited loads of my sweet friends here, and we did garden tours, and then they all got to pick things to take home from loads of tomato plants I had grown from seed and some other flowers. So I'm hoping I'll have enough of these beautiful geraniums to give them away as gifts. So let's get to it. I want to share with you all my 8 steps for growing seeds. Could not be simpler. I use this process, this 8-step process that I'm going to share with you today. Whenever I start any seeds, basically it's the same process. So we're going to get to it and get these Maverick geraniums started. So before we jump into actually getting these seeds in seed cell trays, I wanted to share with you, it's really important. I know a lot of people wonder, like, when should I start my seeds? Well, first thing you want to do is you want to read the seed packet. And the seed packet will tell you how soon to start your seeds before your average last frost. And in my zone 6B garden here in Missouri, my average last frost is between like April the 14th and like April the 24th, somewhere in there. Remember, that's just an average. So we've had frost after the 24th of April, and we've had our last frost before the 14th of April, but that's on average. And so if we look at this bullseye geranium seed, it says right here let's take a look here, that you want to grow them and then transplant them from seedlings into your garden in 14 to 16 weeks. So that's why here it is January 1st, and I'm going to go ahead and sow these seeds because I want to transplant these out into my garden in probably the last week of April, I would say. And I'm also starting them a little bit earlier than I typically do because I want them to get some size. Last year, I grew some, as you can see around me, and a lot of these were outside last year in the garden, or I took cuttings and propagated them. Anyways, they just weren't as big as I wanted them to be. So I'm going to start a little early, and I'll just keep them protected in the greenhouse until all the frost signs have passed. So read your seed packet. When is your last frost date? Well, you need to just do a quick Google search. Last frost date in my zip code, and enter your zip code and pull that up, and you can get that information right away. So, but for here, last frost date for us is usually the end of April. So that's why I'm starting them so darn early. All right, let's get to our seed starting. So you want to use seed starting mix. Very important. Do not use potting soil. Don't use topsoil, garden soil. You want to purchase specific soil that is made for starting seedlings. It is sterile, it is super lightweight and fluffy, and it's super gentle on brand new roots that those little seeds are going to put out. And so that's step 1. So you want to get your seed starting mix in a tray somewhere that you can mix it, because you want to add water. And this seed mix was already a little bit damp right out of the bag. It happens to be organic. I like to use organic everything in my garden, whether I'm growing things to eat or flowers, doesn't matter. I just prefer that. But you can find a good seed starting mix at any of your basic nurseries. So anyhow, so you mix that water in, and here's the trick. You take and try to make a ball like so. And you want it to hold together, but if you squeeze the ball, you don't want it to drip. Ugh, and that means it's too wet. So I've added a little bit too much water. Easy, just like cooking. If it's too wet, you just add more dry ingredients, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to add another scoopful, mix it in. Just like so. Okay, could not be easier. So now that I've moved the soil out of the way, step 2, I need to fill my trays. And I'm going to fill 2 24-cell trays. I am actually going to, you're going to see in a minute when I put the seeds in here, I'm going to put 2 seeds in each cell. That will hopefully give me a little extra oomph in terms of germination. So if one doesn't germinate, the other one hopefully will. I'll have a 50-50 chance. So all I do is sprinkle that soil that I just mixed and pre-moistened into the trays. Lightly fill, and then if you want to, you can tamp it down a little bit that way. I'm really surprised. This is Espoma, excuse me, seed starting mix, and I'm seeing some twigs, which is unusual, actually. I don't usually see that. But anyways, okay. So there we go. So that could not be easier. They're ready to receive the seeds. So I'm going to move this one. I'm going to grab another one up here. I'm going to probably need some more soil. So let me fill this one just the same way. I don't know. Maybe I can get away with. I think it might work. I think that might be just about right for 2. That hardly ever happens, by the way, that I measure correctly the first time. Let's try this. And again, I'm not pressing down on the soil because it needs to be super light. So once those seeds sprout and they start to send out roots, the roots have really an easy time moving through that soil. Okay, so that was step 2, easy. Filled 2 trays. Now I'm going to get my seeds, and we're going to put 2 seeds in each one of these cells, and I'll try to bring the camera in a little closer for that. All right. Step 3 is to get your seeds in the seed trays, and I've got my seeds here. I happen to find these online at Harris Seeds. Gosh, I usually go to Swallowtail, but they were all out of this variety. I'm expecting to be quite a popular variety because, when Laura from Garden Answer recommends something, automatically those things get purchased, just like I was wanting to do the same thing. So here are my little seeds. And as I said, I'm going to put 2 in each cell. And I like to put them catty corner, not right on top of each other. Is that 2? Yep. So that when they germinate, they're a little bit apart from each other. Not right in the corners, but you get the idea. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'll probably speed up the video. You don't need to see me do the same thing over and over. I'll fill these 2 trays, and then we'll get on to the next step. Step 4 is to make sure you check your packet and see how deep the seed should go. And in my experience, geranium seed doesn't need to go very deep at all. In fact, what I'm going to probably do is just gently pat them down, and then I'm going to cover it with vermiculite. So let's get that step done. You want to make sure your seeds are in good contact with the soil. So this pushing them down a little bit. Whoops, where that one went, is helpful. Some seeds, an 1/8 of an inch, which is hardly anything. Some seeds you could just sow right on top. which is sort of what I'm doing here. And topping them with vermiculite will keep the seeds in place and give them just a little bit of cover, and that should be fine. Okay, all right. So let's cover them with vermiculite. And I do this with almost all my seeds. I find it really helpful in keeping the moisture in and also keeping down any kind of mold or, any kind of mildew issues. So, and a little goes a long way, which is nice. This bag will do probably all of my seed sowing for the whole season and I do a lot of trays. So there we go. So that could not be easier. So step 4 is done, topping with vermiculite. Now that I've done that, step 5 is misting them. So I want to settle the seeds and settle this vermiculite. So I've got my mister. Let me dial this in here. Let's check. Nice and misty. And so I'm just going to cover the top with this nice mist of water. Settle the vermiculite, settle the seeds, and give them a little bit of moisture right on the top. Okay, so step 6 would be to cover them with humidity domes. Got to get them in their trays like so. And so I happen to use the Grow Ease system. Gardener Supply is where I get my trays, and these are amazing, heavy duty, really well made seed starting trays. But gosh, I mean, there's all kinds of seed starting trays out there. I like the 24 and I also like the 12. I've got some smaller ones. So yeah, so it's very important when you're starting your seedlings, you put the humidity dome on. You want to keep that moisture locked in to get those seeds to germinate. And so that is, gosh, we're almost done. So I've got 6 of the 8 steps. We've got 2 more steps. And what I have decided to do, because we're going to get down into the teens, I think, for lows in the next few days, even though I heat my greenhouse, just because it's going to be bitterly cold, and if the heaters were to fail, it would probably wreck my seedlings. I typically will do all the dirty work out here in my greenhouse, and then I'm going to take these inside my house. I have a grow light system set up in my basement and heating mats, and so I'm going to take these in the house. I'll take you along for that and get them set up where they are going to grow on for, I'll probably keep them in there for at least another month so that I can keep a close eye on them. Well, you got to see me do the last 2 steps in my 8-step process of how I'd like to start seeds. So you saw me bring in my seed trays, and the 7th step is to put them on a heat mat. My heat mats are set to about 70 degrees, and that's going to be so important to speed up their germination. So heat mats are a great thing. They're easy to find. Just do an Amazon search. You can find all different varieties of seed mats, different sizes online. They're not terribly expensive. So they will stay on heat mats until the majority of those seedlings germinate and get up and growing. And then once they're pretty well established, I will be turning off the heat mat. Won't be needed after that. The last thing you saw me do was to get the grow light set down low. So my grow lights will be on my seedlings for about 16 hours a day. So I put them on a timer, which makes it no fuss for me. So my timer will turn the lights on about 6 a.m., turn the lights off about 10 p.m. So they're getting 16 hours of bright grow light, which is really important. The other thing, you saw me put the dome on the top, that keeps the humidity in there. Once they get established and the majority of those seedlings sprout in the trays, then I'll remove the humidity dome, won't need that any longer. So I appreciate you guys so much for being here today. Thanks for hanging out with me on this very first day of a new garden season of 2025, as I got to start some new seeds for what I hope are going to be some beautiful bullseye Maverick coral geraniums that I can use in my garden and use as gifts for my friends. If you enjoyed today's video, I'm going to please ask you to like and subscribe so I can continue to share some of my garden adventures with the rest of you. I really appreciate that so much in support of my little channel. So until next time, I wish you all happy gardening.